All right, in this section, we're going to go over the pediatric vent and pediatric settings and airway, the different airways we use. Okay, for pediatric patients, we're always going to use the mode pressure control. Okay, it's the safest. It protects the lungs. We know exactly what we're giving pressure-wise, which is the #1 cause of complications. Okay, increased or invasive pressure causes intrathoracic pressure, which can cause pneumos, poor cardiac output, stuff like that. Okay, so let's talk about pressure for a second. Can I put 20 of pressure in this and in me? So who thinks that 20 of pressure can go in here without any issue? Anybody? I think it can. Let's increase that rate. It's working, right? That's 20 of pressure. Okay, so our mode is pressure control. Our inspiratory pressure is 20. Our PEEP is 3 because I don't want to, the PEEP is what would ruin this lung. Normally it'd be like 5. Okay, but the tidal volume, we're getting 16 tidal volume out of this with 20 of pressure, 20 over 3. Okay? I'm not going to do it, but if I were to take this off, I really wish I had my adult lung. If I were to take that off and put it on me, it would be 800. I could put 20 of pressure in this room. Okay? That's the beauty of pressure control. Okay? It's limited by the container you're putting it in. Okay? So it's not going to go any more than what on this ventilator, what my my inspiratory pressure plus my PEEP is. Okay? On other ventilators like the Draeger, it's whatever you set the pressure as. That's it. It's 20. So I know I'm not going to cause a pneumo. I'm not going to cause too much intrathoracic pressure. So that's why it's the safest way. Okay? We have to monitor what tidal volume I'm getting. Okay? So especially during COVID for adults, if I put a COVID adult lung on 20 over 5, the vent would just start laughing at me. Right? We were like, normally we don't do in adults peaks more than 40, in kids no more than 30. I was starting at like 35 on COVID adults, right? And I was getting 200 tidal volumes back. Their lungs were so stiff, okay? But it was the safest thing. I know that that's where I'm at. On volume control, the vent's going to say, what do you want me to give? I'll give it. And like if I switch this to volume control and put 300, this vent would do it and this would go flying across the room. Okay? Vent doesn't care. Vent goes, okay, I'll do what you're telling me to. Okay? Excuse me. So that's why we use pressure control. It's the safest way. Okay? I love doing this little thing because no one believes me. I didn't say that I thought. That was probably a leading question. But if I had my adult lung, I would take that off, put it on, and you would see the tidal volume would go way up because it's just trying to fill whatever container with 20 of pressure. Right? 20 of pressure? Cool, I'm done. It's what we get back. Okay? On our neonates, I start at 22. a lot of times, especially to open them up. We're going to go your guys' worst nightmare, a delivery in the ER, okay? Meconium, we'll go in, we'll suction that meconium out, we'll re-intubate, and I'll start at a higher opening pressure to pop that lung open, and then I'll back down, okay? But the tidal volumes on some of my neo kids will be 5 mLs, and they'll be on 22 of pressure. It's the size of the container, okay? Part of all vent modes that we're going to use in the emergency room is, for pediatrics, is the rate. The rate's going to be higher, right? It's probably going to be 20s, 25, 30, 35, depending on what's going on. Okay, adults, we're not going to be on that high of a rate, but on kids, they breathe faster, smaller volumes. We're going to be using higher tidal volumes and, higher rates. Okay, and then PEEP. Is PEEP the same in kids? No. So PEEP is a pressure, positive and expiratory pressure. Okay. It's the same as in, I'm not going to do 0 of PEEP, 3 of PEEP. I'm going to do 5 of PEEP. I can do 8 of PEEP just like an adult. I can do 10 of PEEP. We start getting a little crazy above 10. And the reasoning for that isn't the pressure, it's the elasticity of the lung, right? You have high, even in an adult with 10 of PEEP, you can cause a pneumo if it's too much for them. In a kid, their lungs are much thinner. So most of the time, we're not going to go above 8 here. Okay? And that's going to be communication between the RT and the doc. But with increased PEEP, what does that increase? Interthoracic pressure, which could affect y'all with blood pressure. Okay? Cardiac output. I'm 2 lungs, now they're full of balloons, that heart can't squeeze in the middle. Okay? So if it's unfortunately, if it's a drowning kid and they have lots of pulmonary edema, the only way we get rid of pulmonary edema is PEEP. Okay? Where I trained for pediatrics, they would literally just turn the monitor like this away from the nurse and the doctor, and they'd sit there and watch the blood pressure and turn up the PEEP and watch the ET tube and see if the pulmonary edema would be coming up and down. They'd go up by 2, go up by 2. It stopped moving up the tube. They'd leave it. And then they'd see if the nurses noticed. The nurses were like, oh, my blood pressure's getting kind of crappy. They'd be like, go down by 2, and then they go, hey, doc, my PEEP for whatever is 16, right? So that's in a very specific situation. We need to get that fluid out. We have to pop that lung open. We can't just go 5 of PEEP. They're going to get rid of all of that pulmonary edema. Okay? Tangent. What is pulmonary edema? Fluid. And what's mixed up in that fluid? Surfactant. Without surfactant, we get sticky, we turn into grapes, and your lungs are gone. Okay? We've all seen codes in adults where that pulmonary edema is just shooting out that tube, and the RT is just sitting there suctioning constantly. If you were to get an x-ray before that happened, and then hopefully they live, even an hour later, they will be completely whited out. That whited out is complete, I'm going to use a big word that I can't say, atelectasis. They are done, right? The whiting out, they are sticky, they are done. It's going to take a long time for those lungs to recover, right? That's an education on the RT part. They need to increase the PEEP. If we're bagging, add a PEEP valve. We should only be suctioning if it's occluding the airway. Peds and adults. That was a tangent, I'm sorry. Questions on the vent? Don't ever touch it. If, I'm telling you this, if we have a kid, the RT should not leave. Okay? Unless another kid goes down right there, right? It's another absolute emergency. They need to be in the room. Not, hey, I'm going to go to the department real quick. Hey, I'm going to go start another breathing treatment. Can you call someone else for that? If they blow you off, call whoever's in charge, and we will get more people down here. That's very rare that that would happen. Most of the time, if we have a kid, there's like 5 of us, right? Even me, I'm very confident. I still call. Hey, I'm getting a kid. We might be tubing. I want an extra hand, right? I want an extra pair of eyes checking me, keeping an eye on that airway, doing all the other things, okay? So, keep us accountable. Make sure that we don't leave, right? Obviously, if we really got to go to the bathroom, don't be mean. Don't make us use a urinal or a squatty potty in the corner. Okay? John said you couldn't leave. Here's a urinal. Please don't say that. I'll get in trouble. All right. We can just cruise right on to our ET tubes. Okay? There are ET tubes from 2.5 to I've seen an 11 before. Okay? But specifically in pediatrics, it's going to be the size of the kid. Okay? The equation is age plus 16 divided by 4 is your guesstimated ET tube size. What do we have within 30 seconds of me running, actually probably 10 seconds of me running from this spot, and we are in room 39. 38, we're in 38 for those watching, listening. What cart could I grab and use without having to do math? Oh my God, I forgot the equation. What could we use and grab and to get a ET tube? What'd you say? Broslow cart, perfect. Broslow cart. Broslow tape, grab it, lay him down. It's pink. Pink is, okay, I open the pink drawer. I open it up, all my tubes are there. Okay? 2 different types of ET tubes. There is cuffed and uncuffed. Okay? In the NICU world, we do uncuffed only. Okay? In the PICU, pediatric intensive care, they used cuffed. Okay? So this is an example of a 3 uncuffed and a 3 cuffed. Okay?
Why do they do uncuffed?
Why do we, excellent question. We do uncuffed because in the NICU world, the airway is so fragile, right, that any extra pressure can cause issues down the road. Tracheal stenosis, tracheal malacia, perforation, all kinds of different things, okay? The idea is this ET tube, if sized correctly, occludes the airway. So if the airway is this small, it goes in, you will not have a leak. You may have a tiny leak, but it's acceptable. Okay? So in uncuffed, the reason they use uncuffed is the idea is properly sized. This will occlude the airway, and it won't add any extra pressure. Okay? In the PICU world, They want more control over their volumes, so they will use a cuff. Okay? Down here, the reason we have this is because the ER docs want a cuffed one. Okay? I have intubated with some of them. I want it cuffed. I'm like, yes, sir. They get it in. They're like, inflate. I'm like, no problem. It's inflated. Great. And they walk off. Never inflated it. I have 0 leak. Okay? Goes in. I hook them up. And I have a leak. I'm going to put in 0.5 mLs at a time until I hit my no leak. Then I need to immediately go get a manometer and check my cuff pressures. We don't have one down here, but that would be I need one, and I would call the ICU, they would bring me one.
You.
Yes, this would be RT. Okay? Yeah. We also have down here for, oh my God, worst case scenario, we also have LMAs down here. Okay, those are all in the airway cart, in the pediatric airway cart. They're all in the supply room. Okay, that is going to be a bridge device. And a bridge device means we're bagging. Multiple attempts, failed attempts. I need an airway. We're going to put in an LMA and hopefully try and ventilate and bridge until we get an airway. Luckily now, we have NEO here all the time. They are experts at intubating tiny airways. Okay? The ER doc, they're awesome too, but if they can't get it, it's a bad day, it's a messed up airway, please say, hey, would you like me to call NICU? Okay? There's a nurse practitioner on 24/7, and there's a NEO on banker's hours. But they will have to be here within X amount of time. So if things go really bad, we can escalate, and I've done that. I've literally had a police officer drive code 3 to their house and drive back and to get the airway. So, and the kid lived. It was awesome. Okay? Any questions on the airways? I will pass them around so you guys can look at how teeny tiny they are.
This may be a good question, but if we're something where somebody can intubate, can't get the neonatologist in time, do we have like a pediatric prep kit? Or how does that work?
No. I don't believe you guys have a kit. That would be a ENT. That would be an ENT coming in to do that. If the, again, this is unofficial. If there was a ER doc willing to do that and successfully, how many beers do you want? Because I've seen some extremely competent, like awesome, and they were like, call ENT, right? The progression would probably go ER doc, anesthesia, neo, like it would be a lot of things. So let's just hope that doesn't happen. But remember that part of the progression is thinking outside, like, you know, sometimes we get focused and tunnel vision up top and we don't think like call someone else, see if someone else is available, all that stuff. Okay? So that it's a key for everyone, teamwork, to be going, okay, what's not being done, what's not being thought of, and you go from there.